All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're here with Jeff today from Moka Origin. Welcome, Jeff. Good to be here with you.
Hi, Doreen. It's so nice to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for being here. Super excited to have you, chatting with us again this time with different origins that you got here. So tell me what's been happening since the last time we chatted. That was many years ago.
It was. I feel like there's a lot that has happened between the last time we talked and now. For the most part, at least in our chocolate world, all good things. And so I'm excited to give an update and go through some bars and some new origins. But in general, yeah, our work in Cameroon, West Africa has continued to go on really strong. This is the kind of the origin of Mocha as we started as a cocoa and coffee community development project back in like 2014. I was living there for a decade prior to that. So zoom ahead today, we've planted almost 750,000 trees with community farmers, and that's really been our commitment of working with cocoa and coffee farmers to continue to reinvest into their farms and helping them increase their production. We're hosting workshops there, as well as now sourcing from about 2 dozen different countries all over the world. So we've expanded just from Cameroon to a lot of different origins. So on that side of things, really well. It's still a very big part of our brand, which is that social mission. And in terms of where we are today as a chocolate maker, I think when we talked, that was maybe a team of like two or three. We're still very small. I consider us in our humble beginnings, but we really have expanded. We have a great team of about 15 dedicated team members. A lot of them are on the production side. We've expanded our factory to a nice, solid 10,000 square feet production facility. This
Wow.
year alone, we expanded our roastery. We expanded our warehouse, our winnowing and grinding and tempering. Really the whole beat of our process line got a facelift in 2024. Yeah, which it's really funny as you expand, you kind of touch up each part of the process, but what you really do is kind of move the bottlenecks from like one to the next. So you unlock roasting potential. Well, okay, now your winnowing and grinding need to also increase in capacity. So we addressed a lot of that in 2024, and we brought on the equipment to, I think, really increase the quality of the chocolate. And I hope that's your experience when you taste the bars.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
What a true story. That amazing story from how many years that you've been doing this, right? So
Yeah, thank you, Doreen.
tell us a little bit about 2025. What does that look like for Mocha? And also, what is the landscape like now for cacao farmers and you're in it, right? Because you're growing cacao in Cameroon and working with the farmers. Like, what's that like right now?
Yeah, it's an interesting time right now because as we all are probably tuned into the cacao market or the cacao landscape in terms of production, cocoa farmers are in a vulnerable space, and everyone in the supply chain is kind of feeling the effects of that in some instances. So in general, what's happened, the price of cocoa has really gone up, and that's been linked to the production of the fruit going down. And that's generalizing it, but that's supply and demand essentially is what has changed in over the last 18 months here. And I think it'll continue for the next year and a half, maybe 2 years. And so what we've seen is the production has really gone down. Scarcity has occurred. Demand for chocolate is only going up, though, especially as a lot of the we'll call them like developing economies around the world start to earn more and consume chocolate themselves. Like it's really driven up the demand. So the price has gone up and it's challenged a lot of the people in the supply chain, whether it's intermediaries buying or exporters or chocolate makers or chocolate buyers and consumers for sure. And so, one part of the story is that like that's been really challenging. Everyone's paying more for chocolate now and cacao. But the other side of it, and I was just in Ghana and I spent about half of 2024 at Origin in 9 different countries, seeing the effects firsthand. And farmers are earning a lot more for cocoa this year in this present time. So that's also like
Awesome.
that's a great side of the story. Yeah. The one part of it though is that the production in general is a little bit low. So growing less but earning more might be kind of like the net effect might be kind of a wash. But what I think it's done, it's kind of calibrated consumers and all the actors in the supply chain um, around that cocoa as a crop should be valued higher. And I think for the first time ever, farmers are earning, what they should for cocoa. And so, I hope that the price continues kind of upward, but I also hope that environmentally the conditions change so that production goes up for farmers as well. And then on the consumer side, I think all of us just need to relate with this idea that farmers need to earn their fair share, and that
Right.
price adjustment is more
Right.
for an ethical shift versus
Yeah.
just a reaction to the environmental supply and demand issue that we're seeing currently. So
Right.
yeah, I've seen a lot of that this year. I was in Ghana and Togo and Costa Rica, Mexico, Cameroon, all over, and that's been the story: is farmers are earning more, production's a little bit low. Like, where's the market going to go?
Yeah, I think that's amazing that we can control the social aspect of it. Okay, we can buy more ethically sourced cacao and stuff, but then how are we doing on the climate change part, right? Or
Mhm.
the ones that we can't control, right? And one of the things that I'm thinking, because I'm a farmer, I have my home, like, vegetable garden and stuff. It's like, why don't we pump more fertilizer into it, right? Let's just put more fertilizer into it. But that's not the case, right? It's like there's so many different things that kind of come into play as well. So it's a very tricky one.
It's a really tricky one, Doreen. And since you brought up the agricultural side, I'll just touch on it for like 30 seconds here because it's so important. It like speaks to the root of it all, which is sustainability. And in terms of, and I think that like for Mocha, our commitment has always been to let's work with farmers to intercrop and plant more trees. And it might not even be cocoa trees. A lot of the 750,000 trees we've just planted were shade trees and environmentally friendly trees, fruit trees, mango, avocado, just trees that can create an ecosystem that's going to help cocoa
Yep.
flourish and be less susceptible to like these microclimate changes that occur. And so I think it also has told us that we need to prioritize the sustainability of the crop and ultimately of farmers. And that story definitely rings true to farmers here in the United States as well. So
Yeah, amazing. I love that story. I mean, I think we can keep talking and talking and talking on that front as well. But let's go into tasting chocolate and let's talk about, the four bars that we're going to be tasting today. Yeah, let's tell us where would you like to start?
let's start with Cameroon. This has been a
Okay.
really special origin for us. It's been a it's it's been a second home for 18 years now. It's a place that's very close to the hearts of my family and ultimately our company. And it's a cocoa producer that is definitely already on the map in terms of quantity of cacao coming out of Africa. Um, but what's often missed is the highest quality of those beans coming to the specialty market. And so we wanted to change that. We wanted the narrative around Cameroonian cacao to be small batch specialty direct trade. And I hope you taste the difference in here. We've been working with this partner for gosh, about 3 years now to really hone the fermentation. So this is a micro lot um, of cocoa. The story is printed really nicely on the inside of the bar. So when you get them, I'm excited for you to read more about it and actually read the farmer's story here. It's a dear friend, Sylvain Tiaco, who started a family farm and has been doing a great job, really honoring the ethics, but also the quality of the cocoa and the environment. And I think those values are reflected in the flavor. It's got a very classic kind of Cameroonian chocolate flavor, which is fudgy and that like nostalgic cocoa flavor. It's like a comfort food chocolate in my mind. A little bit of like a malted note. We call it like maybe a malted milkshake with a slight fig flavor. So yeah, really excited for you to try that.
That's amazing. And you are one of the few that actually carries or make Cameroonian bars, right? Because we don't really see this too often. So not a lot of
Correct.
people
Yes.
here.
It's often overlooked. Yeah. And we're the only ones bringing this bean in. And yeah, I think you're one of the only ones bringing this into your box. So it's a very exclusive opportunity to try something special from West Africa. So
That's very cool. Yeah, thank you for
yeah,
that. All right, on to the
yep.
second bar. I think Dominican Republic, is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So this is a fun origin. It's not that unfamiliar in the world of craft chocolate, but I think our take on it is pretty unique. We've been working with Zarzal for 6, 7 years already. It's a great farming project in Dominican Republic in a conservation area, a reserve, and Zarzal cacao is Reserva Zarzal, which is a private reserve working to create a habitat for a special bird called the bicknell thrush that migrates through this region every year. And so the founder, Charles Kirshner, created this, project in this protected area to really preserve that migratory environment for the bird, but also produce some extraordinary cocoa at their own farm, but also surrounding farms now sourcing from other farmers within that region, and then they bring it to a central fermentery where they're processing it. So you get a lot of consistency out of there as well. It's a great bean. It's an awesome chocolate. It's kind of like everyone's gonna love this bar. It's got that fudgy, chocolatey note, but a little bit more cherry and a touch of stone fruit. So it's very well rounded.
Yeah. This one here, we get a little bit of nuttiness to it too. So it's very exciting to actually get that.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so my team works hard on, on the roast and then the conching stages and not to overdo one or the other and pull those flavors out. So I'm glad you enjoy that.
Yeah. To get the balance. Okay. On to the
Yep.
third one. Is it Costa Rica?
That's right. Yep. So our bar from Costa Rica is actually one of our newer. The next two are a little bit newer as of the last 2 years. And our bar from Costa Rica is it's a really fun one. Costa Rica, when we went there originally, it wasn't to source cacao, and I was blown away how this country and smallholder farmers have been able to grow significant quantities of cocoa and coffee, but cacao in this dialogue, and they've done it without jeopardizing the environment. They've really done it in harmony with ecosystems, and it just was like a great educational experience. I actually took some of that knowledge back to Cameroon, and we're trying to implement some of those practices over there in West Africa. So Costa Rica reflects environmental stewardship, phenomenal cocoa, and this bar is a really fun one to make. Every batch has a little bit different personality. It's very small, micro lot. This one we noted slightly ripened pear, kind of a little bit of nuttiness, and this beautiful depth, dark chocolate flavor.
Yeah. This was an awesome one with a lot of like that butterscotch
Mhm.
flavor. Yeah. Thank
Yep.
you for that. And then the
Yeah.
last one, Mexico.
Yeah, so Mexico has a lot of personality. This is a fun one. Mexico is actually a place that my family and I have been working at for almost a decade and a half, more in the coffee context in the mountains. But as we started to uh, explore and work with farmers in other cocoa growing regions, we fell in love with really the heritage, the story behind cacao. It wasn't originally, grown for the contemporary uses of chocolate like we all know and love. It's part of um, the cultural heritage of the indigenous that lived in these regions. And so we spent a lot of time there over the last 2 years studying that, and are excited to bring this bar to life through a partner called Revival Cacao. And their whole
Yep.
mission is to grow cocoa in Mexico that meets the specialty craft chocolate standards and
Hmm.
turn it into an export. And so when we tasted this for the first time, we were blown away. It was just like um, a lot of blackberry and raspberry, some grape notes. Just had a lot of personality, which
Yeah.
was really fun. Those are the funnest, sometimes the most challenging, but also present a lot of
Yeah.
opportunity for great chocolate.
Yeah. That's
So
cool. Well, yeah. Thank you
yeah,
so much for sharing all these four bars. We really appreciate you being here. Thank you for
yeah.
making amazing chocolate. Thank you everybody for joining us. We will see you in the next one. Thanks, Jeff. We
Thank,
appreciate you here.
thank you, Durin.
Bye.
Appreciate your partnership. Bye bye.